Hi, and welcome to Knitting Blooms, Episode 5. Today is May 29th, 2011, and we have Sammy here. She's decided to take up residence on my lap for the podcast, so we're going to see how this goes. Hopefully she'll sit still, and we won't have any issues. If you are a first-time watcher, I thank you for stopping by, and if you have been watching the previous episodes, thank you again for continuing to watch. And I didn't set my timer again today, and I'm going to throw a question out to everybody to see what you guys want. When I originally started the podcast, I was thinking that I wanted to keep the podcast between 30 and 40 minutes. And I was going to set a timer to make sure that I kind of stuck to that timeline. And at first I didn't think I would have a problem because I thought I might not have enough to talk about for that much time anyway. But what I'm finding is that I am getting very close to 40 minutes every single week, if not over 40 minutes. So my question to you is, do you have a preferred length of video podcast? I know a lot of people sometimes just listen to the podcast, and when they want to see what's going on screen, they'll look down at it, whatever. I just want to know if you have a specific length of podcast that you prefer, and then I will try and keep myself constrained into that length. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk about what I want to talk about, and hopefully everybody will enjoy it and continue to come back for more. So, we're going to jump right in with the whips of the week. The sock yarn blanket, again, this week, got no love. I did do some knitting this week. I guess I did a lot of procrastination. If you remember last week, I had the Not Quite a Cape almost complete. Well, all the pieces were done, and they were blocking. And I took them off the blocking board Sunday afternoon, and they were ready to be steamed together. Well, I procrastinated all week and didn't do the seaming until yesterday. And for me, I guess, when I know something needs to be done and I'm not doing it, I don't tend to do the other things that I want to do. So some of the other projects didn't get worked on as much as I would have liked because I was procrastinating the Not Quite a Cape, and I felt guilty about working on another project and not working on that one. So I did do knitting this week, but not as much as I think I would have liked. Okay, Sammy's getting down now. Okay, so the sock yarn blanket didn't get much love, and again, that's just a project that I work on when I feel like working on it anyway. So the Emma Lace socks, I did work on one of them. This was the sock that I had only done one repeat on the cuff. So I did quite a bit on that. Well, I guess you can see it better on this side because the heel starts here, and then I did, I don't know, a few repeats because the repeats are only 4 rows. So, but those are coming right along. You know, I work on those because it's a mindless pattern for me, so I can work on those when I have just a couple of minutes and I don't need to look down at a chart. One thing this week that has puzzled me about socks is that some people, I've heard a lot of the podcasters saying that when they're working a pattern for a particular designer or just a particular pattern, they go up a needle size for their socks. To me, the yarn designates the needle size for me, I guess, because I like my socks a very tight weave, so they're snug on my foot. And I guess if I had to go up a needle size to get the size that would fit my foot for that sock yarn, I guess I would just add more stitches, which means that I might not be able to do that specific pattern that I wanted to do with that sock. But because I do mostly you know, just a vanilla sock and then add a pattern if I decide I want to add a stitch pattern. It doesn't bother me as much because I kind of just start knitting with the yarn with the needle size that I think, and as long as I'm getting the fabric that I like, then I just continue until I increase enough to fit my foot size, and then I decide if there's going to be a pattern or not. But do a lot of people do that? Do a lot of people go up a needle size? Do you really focus on the fabric? I mean, like I said, I like a really tight knit sock, and if my socks are too loose, they feel like if they're too loose on my foot, or if the fabric is too loose, the stitches spread apart and the feel underneath my foot isn't that comfortable. So again, most of my socks I knit on 1s or 0s. I have knit socks on 2s and 3s, but it's more of a heavier fingering or a very light DK. So that's my question of the week for the socks. Like I said, I let the yarn designate my needle size and how many stitches I'm gonna need for my socks. The next project is the Demeter's Shawlette that I'm knitting with the Knit Girls fiber, and I am one purl row from finishing the pattern as written, or finishing the main body of the shawl as written. And as I mentioned last week, I think I'm going to try and make this a tiny bit bigger. I still have 54.7 grams of yarn, and because I have one row left, what I'm going to do is I weighed the yarn before that row, so then I'm going to weigh the yarn when I'm done with that row, and that will give me an idea how many grams I am using per row. And I figured it out that I can increase the pattern by rows of 6, I believe it was. No, rows of 2. That increases it by 6 stitches, each rows of 2. Each 2 repeats, so actually it's 4 rows, I guess. So I can increase by every no, let me think about this. I think I have to increase 12 stitches so if I have 301, I have to increase to 313 for the next set so that I can still do the border as written. So, and I think that is, I want to say that's 4 rows. Yes, because on the first side, on the right side rows, you're increasing 4 stitches, and on the wrong side rows, you're increasing 2 stitches. So you're increasing 6 stitches every 2 rows, and then so for 4 rows, I could increase 12. So that's what I'll do. I will weigh my ball and then see how many grams I am using per row, and then estimate how many grams I'm going to need for that border. And then I'm going to increase at least one full repeat, which would be the 4 rows, 12 extra stitches. And then I'm just going to see how it goes, because like I said, I haven't figured that out yet, so I don't know exactly how many I'm going to increase, but I am going to increase a little bit. It's going to be a pretty decent sized shawl already. I would say that's about 20 or so inches once I block it out. And it's going to be a decent size, so it's not going to be extremely small, and it's going to block out quite big. But I have a lot of yarn left, and I don't know that I would use the leftover for something, so I'm just going to try and use as much of it as possible, and hopefully I leave enough for the border. I'm going to try and overestimate for that border, because I do not want to have to rip back or have one little corner of it, of the border, a different yarn. And I did order some beads this week. I had some beads that I could use. I didn't really even look to see if how they would match up, but the Steve at Dramatic Knits, which I'll talk about his podcast in a little bit, but he mentioned last week about the bead, I don't remember, I'll put it in the show notes, it's the Bead Wrangler, I think. The Bead Wrangler, I think it was. So I hopped over to their website and I ordered some beads. I think I ordered 3 different colors, just to try different things, and I figure I'll use them for something else in the future if I don't use them for this particular project. The next one is the Not Quite a Cape, and I did start seaming it up yesterday, yes, and so it's not quite done, but it is very, very close to being done, and I don't know how I will be able to show you all of it, but I'll try and take a picture later, and well, it will be done later today because literally I have, this is the collar, and the collar will fold over and be seamed up, so the collar will have a nice edge on it like this. But the collar, I think I have 4 more inches to knit on the collar, and that'll take me probably a little over an hour, and then I will be able to put the buttons on. And that's another issue that I might have, because the buttons that I was sent for this project, because it is a knitting for hire, the buttons, they're supposed to be able to take the I-cord is supposed to hold the button, and then what's supposed to happen is the button is supposed to be strung, the I-cord is supposed to be strung through the button. The buttonholes are very, very tiny, so there's no way that that's going to happen. But what I might have to do is I might just have to sew the button onto the I-cord, and the I-cord, see if I can show you, the I-cord will get sewn on like that, something like that, and then the button, this is used as the buttonhole on one side, and then the button gets sewn to this on the other side. So we'll see how it goes. I know that I'm not going to be able to string the buttons through, or the I-cord through the buttons, so that's just not going to happen. But this will be done, I would think today, but definitely, if not today, then tomorrow at the very latest. And I just love the raglan, how they did the raglan sleeve. I mean, the seaming of it was so easy, and it turned out beautiful. I just really, really like that about this pattern. And a lot of the patterns that write the raglans like that, where I think it's like you decrease like 2, this one was decreased 3 stitches from the edge, so you get that really nice line for the raglan. So that is the Not Quite a Cape that's not quite done. It will be done this weekend. Let's see. The Mystery Medallion Shawl. And last week somebody mentioned the one thing that they wished, and I forgot to write down who it was, that they wished that I wouldn't show the mystery shawls if somebody is doing the mystery shawl and doesn't want to be surprised, or wants to be surprised and doesn't want to see what the pattern's going to look like, that I should put up a spoiler alert. So, spoiler alert, I have finished clue number 3, and here it is. And I don't know how well you're going to see it. I will take a picture of it a little later and put it in here with it so you can kind of see it a little bit better. And that is this part here, and actually I could probably show you this way because this is how it's going to be, but it's just easier to show it the other way. This part here is clue number 2, and it's a heart. I'm not sure if you can see that heart. And then this section here is clue number 2. No. Oh yes. This is clue 2, and then this is clue 3 from here to here. And this is just really hard to hold up. So anyway, that's what it's looking like so far. And then the center medallion is over here. Let's see, am I getting that? No, here's the center medallion. So there's the center medallion and how that's looking. I have not started clue 4, which came out on Friday. Yesterday I spent all day doing that Not Quite a Cape, because then I felt really guilty about procrastinating all week about doing that. And then once I got the seaming done, then I had to do the collar and the button bands. So, but anyway, this is still coming along. I am kind of keeping up. I'm a little nervous about this week because I have not started clue number 4 yet, and in fact, I just downloaded it this morning, and I think it should be up on my printer waiting for me to pick it up. And I feel like I'm kind of falling behind because the summer mystery shawl, I'm also doing that. So I'm hoping between today and tomorrow, having a holiday, I will get some knitting done, although my husband is feeling neglected because I've been spending a lot of time knitting. So we might, I don't know, do something later today or tomorrow. Maybe, I don't know. We weren't planning on going to any barbecues. Nobody was having any barbecues this weekend. I mean, they probably are. We just had not planned on going to any, but probably tomorrow we'll have a impromptu barbecue with the family, because his family's very spontaneous, and I'm not a spontaneous person, but I try to hang with them as much as I can. The next one is, spoiler alert, the Summer Mystery Shawl with Wendy Knits group. And this is coming right along as well. Clue number 3 came out on Thursday. And I had every intention to start clue number 3 right away on Thursday, but didn't happen. And I know that this section is at least 72 rows. It's going to be more rows for me because I added extra stitches at the beginning. So I think there's 23 rows, so it'll be close to 100 rows. The rows do get shorter, but for the first, at least the first section, it's going to be quite crazy. So anyway, let me show you what I've got so far. I just started clue number 3. I think I'm like, I don't know, 3 rows into it. I don't know, you might be able to see the lifeline in there that I put in there. That is through row number 1 of clue 3. So that means 1, 2, 3. I'm on the 4th row. I'm getting ready to start the 5th row, the 5th pattern row. So that's where we are right now. Again, this section is going to be, oops, I guess I just dropped that stitch. I gotta fix that. But this section is going to be quite big, but hopefully I can keep up. Hopefully I can get a good chunk of the clue number 3 done before next Thursday when clue number 4 comes out, in addition to getting clue number 3 or clue number 4 done of the mystery medallion shawl as well. I don't know if it was such a good idea to do 2 mystery alongs at the same time. I feel like the first 2 to 3 clues for both patterns kind of went quickly, and I was feeling, oh, okay, you know, I'm going to be able to keep this up, but 72 rows is a lot of rows, and plus to be working on so many other projects at the same time. That's hard. But I want to try and keep up with it. I don't want to fall behind. I probably will this week, but hopefully if I fall behind this week, I'll be able to catch up next week. So that's the mystery, it's the summer mystery shawl. The modified Lady Eleanor has gotten no love this week at all. Same place it was last week. It's very, very pretty, and I like the yarn, but just been working on other projects this week. So, and again, my procrastination on the Not Quite a Cape, and like I said, I just felt guilty about working on other projects when I knew I really needed to work on that specific project. I did think about the Bacardi this week, and I pulled out my yarns that I'm going to use for the first one, and that's the colors that I'm going to use. So I've got 3 brighter colors and then 3 more muted colors, so hopefully it's going to look nice. Like I showed you last week, I did do the Excel spreadsheet, which reminds me, if anybody would like to have my Excel spreadsheet, I'm happy to send it along to you, and then hopefully it will be easier for you to just swap out the colors if you're going to do different colors. Because I went through and I did that entire chart and charted the entire thing out. So that'll save a lot of time for anybody who wants to do that. So if you're interested in having that chart, just send me a message on Ravelry or on the blog, and make sure you include your email, and I will email that over to you. So again, those are the colors of the first one that I'm going to do. I think when I went through my stash last week, I think I have enough for maybe 4 Bacardis, because I'm pretty sure that the pattern only calls for 1 skein of each color. But I bought 2 of everything because that's just the way I am. I always buy at least 1 extra skein for my projects, because I never know when I'm going to get to my project when I buy the yarn. And I absolutely hate to run out of yarn. I would rather have 2 to 3 extra skeins of yarn and not run out versus be 1 ball short and have to either try and track down the same dye lot. I'm just not one for trying to fudge the project. I would probably end up ripping the whole thing out, and I hate to do that. So I have extra yarn just in case, and then I could probably do some little color work with these pinks and greens and stuff. I can do a little color work project for my niece. And then the other one is blues and purples, so maybe I could change the purples out and maybe use some greens and do some blues and greens for my nephew. I don't know. I could do something like the Bacardi and just make it a smaller size. I don't know. We'll see how much yarn I have left over and then go from there. So again, if you're going to join along with the Bacardi Knit Along and you would like to have my Excel spreadsheet, just send me a message and I'll get that over to you. Spinning for this week, I did work on the, this is the Yarn Hollow BFL and Tussah silk, and I'm very much enjoying using my little spindle still, and I've been tempted, and I say tempted because I will talk about the Llady Llama fiber in a moment, but I did finish spinning that and plying that this weekend, and now I have nothing on my wheel, so I have been tempted to move this over to my wheel, but I really want to keep this on my spindle and just spin this right from my spindle. I have so many other fibers that I can start on my wheel that I think I'm just going to do another project on the wheel and keep this one on the spindle. So I don't know, I think I was on a little bit of orange before, so I got through the green, or maybe it was pink, I'm not sure, but I got through the green, almost through the green, and then it's transitioning into a yellow and then a little bit of an orange again. So again, I'm enjoying it. It does take quite a while to spin on the spindle, and when I do spin on the spindle, I usually only spin for, you know, maybe 20 or 30 minutes, and you can't get a huge amount done during that time. So it seems like it is a very slow process, and at this rate I'll probably be talking about this fiber for a few months. But again, I'm enjoying it. I really like the spindle. This is the spindle that will be one of the prizes, not this specific one. I have it, it's all packaged up in bubble wrap and stuff, and so I'm not going to take it out of that. But this is the spindle that I am giving away this week, which I'll talk about in a couple minutes. And it's a light spindle. This particular one, I want to say, is 16 grams, something around there. And it's great for the fine fiber that I am wanting to get with this. So that's how much I've done on that. And like I said, I finished spinning the Llady Llama BFL, and I think it's superwash. And this is what I got. And I really love it. And again, I will have a photo here, but see if you can see some of that there. That's 4 strands there. Let me separate it out so you can kind of see a little bit better of how thick it is. I 3-plied this, and it is pretty darn consistent. There are a few spots that are a little thicker and a few spots that are a little thinner than the majority of it, but it is pretty darn consistent. And for my second fiber, I'm pretty impressed with myself, actually. Because before I was spinning, I think I've mentioned this before, I just didn't know if I was going to get fiber that I liked. I didn't know I was going to get yarn that I liked. And I am very happy with what I am getting. I wanted lace to fingering, maybe even a light DK, but what I'm getting is exactly what I wanted. Now, I'm not really sure that I'm ready to start spinning for a sweater, but I do like what I'm getting here. So this was 280 yards, and I had a little bit of yarn left over on 2 spindles, so I decided I was going to Navajo ply that, and that's what I did with this. And I really like the Navajo ply. I know the Navajo ply isn't a great ply for say to make socks out of, and there's that. So the Navajo ply seems more consistent to me, I guess, than the other. And maybe it's because the colors are together, like I'm getting, you know, all purple and all of the burgundy together versus a little bit of the barber pole effect with when I was doing the 3-ply. So I'm thinking the next thing that I spin up, I'm going to spin with I'm going to do Navajo ply and see how it comes out, because I really like that. And I watched a video on Navajo plying, and I'm not sure what video it was, but I think I have it bookmarked, so I will post it in the show notes. But it's an awesome video, and it really helped me. You know, the Navajo plying is kind of confusing to begin with, and then you try and do it, and if you don't have the right rhythm down, it just seems like it's all fumbled up. But watching this video, it made it seem so simple and so fluid, and just there was such a rhythm to it that I'm like, okay, that's easy enough. So I sat down, I started spinning, I plied this on, I started plying it, I think it was Thursday night, I want to say, and then I finished plying it on Friday, and then I put it in to soak Friday night. And then this I plied Saturday morning. Yeah, this I plied Saturday morning, and it dried pretty quickly because I soaked that yesterday after I finished plying it, and they're both dry, so they're both ready to knit. And if I didn't have so many other things on the needles, and then plus wanting to get the Bacardi started, I would want to start knitting this right away. And I just purchased an Hanson pattern this morning that I think I'm going to use to knit this up. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll put a banner at the bottom and I'll link it in the show notes. But I'm going to make the smaller size of this, and I think what I'm going to do is I don't know if this particular pattern, I want to say that it starts at the bottom, so I will save this bit of yarn for the top part, because this is the Navajo plied, and I'll save this bit for the top part so that the top yoke or whatever of the shawl is more consistent, and then this will be the bottom part. So whatever, if it starts top down, I'll start with this. If it starts bottom up, I'll start with this and then finish off with this. If I need it. Maybe I won't need it. This was about 34 yards, so there's not that much in here, but if I need it, I'll have it. So that is my spinning, and I'm really happy with it. And I will be starting a new project, a new spinning project on my wheel this week. Which brings me to the other thing that I did this weekend that I should have been doing something else. I should have been working on that Not Quite a Cape. On Friday, I took the day off on Friday because I felt like I needed an extra holiday. So instead of having a 3-day weekend, I had a 4-day weekend, or I'm having a 4-day weekend. And on Friday, I decided I'm going to dye some fiber. And I'd never dyed fiber before, obviously, because I just started spinning in March. So I never had the need for fiber. And I've dyed the sock yarn before, and everything's worked out fine with that. But I had no idea how this fiber was going to work. I was nervous about felting the fiber when I heated it and whatnot. So I started with 2 little small pieces. I mean, maybe a gram each, just to kind of get an idea. Plus I was dyeing up some of the new colors of jacquards that I had gotten. So what I do is I'll wind off a little piece of yarn, and I'll put it in I'll make just a small little batch of the color, and then I'll put the yarn in there, usually like five wraps around my arm or something, just enough so that I can see what the color looks like, so that when I get around to using that color to dye yarn with, I have an idea of what that color's gonna look like. Anyway, so I had a little bit of that dye left over, so I just dunked some little pieces of fiber in there just to see, and I put it in the microwave, and it came out okay. So then I moved on to this lovely bit of goodness. And this was just a little piece of leftover. It's not that much, you can see. I want to say it's like 50 grams. So I'm not going to get that much out of it, but this was like my my next step up, you know. Okay, I tried those couple grams, and now I want to try a little bit more. So I did this, and this was very easy. It came out almost exactly what I expected. I don't think I heated this one enough. I'm not really sure. I put my color in little squeeze bottles, and then I squeezed it onto the fiber, and then I wrapped it in cellophane, put it in the microwave. And I think I put it in the microwave for a minute and a half, and then another minute and a half. Maybe. I didn't keep any notes. I do everything at random. Anyway. So, and then I took it out of the microwave, and I started to rinse it, and a lot of the color, which it was this turquoise, or this teal color, seemed to wash out. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I didn't put in long enough. But I still like how this colorway came out with the chestnut brown and the teal, and this is a little bit of an ecru color. So that's not the natural fiber, that's not the natural color of the fiber, that's an ecru. So now I want to dye up a whole bunch of it so that I can have, you know, a good 4 ounces or more. I'm hoping that I can recreate this because I really like this color. You know, it really came out nice. So I don't know, maybe today, probably not today because I really need to finish that not quite a cape, but I'm going to try and recreate that colorway because that is just gorgeous. And after I did that one, I did this one. And I'll show you in a minute. I dyed, I told you last weekend that I dyed up some yarn for the prize drawing. And I liked one of the colorways so much that I thought I'm going to try and do that in fiber. I changed one of the colors just slightly, just because I wanted something a little bit different, because if that yarn is not chosen for the prize drawing, then I don't want to have something that's exactly the same. So this is the second fiber that I did. And I was very nervous about this because this one I did the same way. I used the squeeze bottles, put my color on, wrapped it in cellophane, but this time I dumped the whole thing in a pot of boiling water. And it was kind of simmering when I put it in there, and I thought, okay, I turned it down a little bit, but I thought it would, I just would just continue simmering, and I walked away and left it for about 7 or 8 minutes. And when I came back, the water was boiling pretty darn good, and I was really nervous that it was going to be felted, but it doesn't seem to be. I was able to loosen up the fibers a little bit to dry it, and it doesn't seem to be felted, but I guess I won't know that until I start to try and spin it. But I really like it. I think this is what I'm going to be spinning next. I want to say that I did about 6 grams. I'm not 6 grams. 6 ounces of fiber is here, I think, or 4. I don't know, 4 or 6. Because I'm finding that if I'm going to 3-ply, 4 ounces isn't quite enough for a larger shawl. I mean, like this, the Llady Llama fiber, I believe, was about, I think it was 115 grams, which is a little over 4 ounces. And I got 330 yards, 334 yards of that. So if I'm going to 3-ply something, I think that I will need a little bit more than 4 ounces for a larger shawl. If I need like 500 to 600 yards of yarn. So I did go through, this is BFL, I have some Corriedale that I got that was natural fiber, and I have some Polworth that was natural fiber. And I went through and I separated those out into 6-ounce bumps. So that I can dye them up and have 6-ounce bumps. And if I don't need a full 6 ounces, then I'll just have an extra 2 ounces for some small project or whatever. But anyway, so this is what I'm going to start spinning. Maybe, I don't know, sometime this week probably. I really want to get the Not Quite a Cape done. I need to get that off my needles because I have another knitting for hire that I really would like to get started, so I can get that done by the end of June. So, but the next time I sit down to my wheel, this is what I'm going to be working with. And again, this was BFL fiber. I don't think it was superwash. I'm not 100% sure. But it will be quite fun. And darn it, I forgot. I wanted to pull down something that I got this week. Anyway, I'll have to show you a picture of it later. Okay, so this is what I'm going to work on my wheel this week. And now I want to talk about some podcasts, which is what I wanted to pull down. That's way up there at the top, and I'd have to open the cabinet door. So I'm going to show you a picture of it instead, which you'll probably get a better shot of it anyway. The podcast that I want to talk about is 90% Knitting with Lisa, and she is also Fiber Nymph. She has an Etsy shop, which I did. I broke my stash diet already. You know, in fact, I think I ordered this before I proclaimed that I was not going to buy any yarn until Stitches Midwest. So it's not, I didn't really break my diet. Anyway, so this yarn I purchased from her, it was last week before the podcast of last week. So because I just saw it was so pretty, and I just went to the shop. Sometimes I go to the shop just to see what's there, and a lot of times, you know, she posts an update and, you know, very quickly everything gets sold out pretty much. And so a lot of the things that she shows on her podcast, she has a segment on her podcast that she goes through and shows you, this is what I dyed this week, this is what's going to be in the shop update, and just watching this, like, you just drool seeing all the pretty colors and everything. And so, and then she updates her shop on Friday, and then I don't know, I guess Friday afternoon last week I was available and just happened to pop over to the shop real quick and saw this yarn and was very excited about it. And so I thought it would make a really pretty shawl, so I just snapped it up and bought it. So yeah, go check out 90% Knitting. She's a video podcast, and she shows all of her projects just like me, and she has all that yarny goodness that she dyes up for her Etsy shop, and it's just wonderful. The other podcast that I'm going to talk about this week, oh, and by the way, thank you, Lisa, for giving me a shout out on your podcast as well. The other podcast that I'm going to talk about this week is Dramatic Knits, and Steve is the host of that show. And I really like Steve's podcast because it's from a different perspective. You know, it's from the male perspective instead of, you know, just all these women podcasters that give their take on everything. And, you know, he has some more manly designs that he knits for himself. And he also does a lot of women's patterns too, although he doesn't have really any specific women to knit for in his life. But he gives a lot of his projects away to listeners, and he does fundraisers with some of his projects, you know, for charity and whatnot. So, and another cool thing about his podcast is that he has a theater theme. I think he's a theater coach or whatever. And so he has different segments, you know, like taking a bow and now performing and stuff like that. So it's very cute. And thank you too, Steve, for giving me a shout out on your podcast last week as well. So next thing on the list is this week I came across a couple people that were having really bad weeks, and I kind of wanted to give them a little gift, a little pattern gift. You know, now you can do that gift thing on Ravelry where you can gift somebody a pattern. And my question is, how do you know? I know how to do the gift thing. I know that there's a little button that says gift it to somebody. But my question is, how do you know what patterns somebody wants? There should be some kind of wish list, pattern wish list on Ravelry. I couldn't find it. Maybe there is one, and I just don't know about it. But, excuse me. But if there's not one, maybe we need to talk to Casey and see if he can't make something like that, because I really would have liked to have sent a little gift to somebody this week. But I looked at their queue and I thought, okay, they have these things in their queue, but how am I to know if they don't already have that pattern? So if you know if there is a way to find out what patterns people have, or if there's patterns that they have on their wish list, please let me know, because like I said, I would have liked to have gifted a couple patterns this week, but I felt like I didn't really want to gift them unless I knew they wanted that pattern. Anyway, the other thing this week was I see a lot of people knitting circular shawls. A lot of the podcasters are Mommy Needs Yarn and Dramatic Knits and 90% Knitting. I believe all of them are doing the Even Star. Karen at Round the Twist is also doing Even Star. She's almost done with it. She started it a number of months ago. But then there's also the Shipwreck Shawl, and those shawls look absolutely gorgeous. My question is, where do you block them? I mean, those things must be 8 feet wide, you know, 8 feet in diameter, and so that's huge. And I know that some people have mentioned the, like the insulation board, but, I mean, do you stand it up to pin it out? I mean, I think it would be just extremely tedious to block that, and those type of shawls, they absolutely need that hard blocking to really show their glory. But I don't know, I considered doing a pie shawl, but then I kind of swayed away from it because I don't know, I think it would be too difficult to try and block. And I forgot to get a thing of water here. So anyway, moving right along. Hopefully I can get through this without having a major coughing fit from a dry throat. Okay. The next thing that I want to speak about is the Podcaster Challenge. And this is being held by, I think her name is Lois. I'll have to look that up, but I'll post it. I'll post a link. This challenge, she contacted some podcasters to find out if they would be interested in participating, where the viewers of the podcast would choose projects for the podcasters to knit, and it would be like a knit along between the podcasters. So all the viewers would get together of the different podcasts that are participating and pick a pattern for the podcasters to knit. So we would all be knitting the same project. Now some people say, well, wouldn't that make the podcast boring because then everybody's knitting the same project? Well, kind of right now, everybody's kind of knitting the same projects. You know, there's so many podcasters doing the Wendy Knits summer mystery shawl. Like I said, there's at least 4 podcasters doing the Even Star right now. But I think that every single person is going to have different things to say about those projects. They're going to have different yarn. They're going to have different processes of how they went about it. So, and I'm sure that that's not going to be the only project that the podcasters are going to be working on. I mean, like I said, I have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 projects right now on the needles. So it's not like my whole podcast would be about one particular project. So if you're interested in checking that out, I'll put a link in the show notes so that you can go and read all about it and put your input in if you're interested in, helping to choose the pattern and whatnot. I think that it's not going to really get going until September because the summer, a lot of people already have their projects lined up for the Knit Girls Stash Dash, and Dramatic Knits is doing a Stash Down. They're a little bit different. The Stash Dash with the Knit Girls is a specific number of yardage. It's a 5K yardage, so it's 5,000 kilometers. So it's like 5,400 and some odd yards of yarn that you have to knit or spin or whatever. And Dramatic Knits is doing a Stash Down, which is a little bit different. It has a little bit different run dates, but I'll link both of them in the show notes so that you can see the differences. The Stash Down is number of skeins, so it's not specific yardage, it's number of skeins that you're counting in that one. And let's see, that brings us to the prize drawings, which I'm sure that everybody has been waiting for. And I wanted to save it to the very end to draw out the suspense. So before I sat down at the podcast today, I did the random number drawing because I didn't want to have to try and do it on screen, and if something didn't go right, you know, it wouldn't work. So I wrote down, I have the 4 prizes, which will start with I'll show you the prizes first, and then I'll tell you who won each prize. And I'll show you the prizes, then I'll tell you how I went about picking the prizes, who won which prize, and then I'll tell you who won. So the first prize is the fiber. And this is fiber by 4 Rivers Yarn and Fiber. This is a hand-dyed merino. It's absolutely gorgeous. I think I might have to go back to her shop. I did get some of this fiber in another color for myself. You might be able to see it over here. I believe it's this one right here. This is absolutely gorgeous. It's so soft and it's so pretty, and I really was tempted to keep this one for myself, but I know she donated this for the podcast giveaway, so I'm going to give it to somebody special. So again, this is 4 Rivers Yarn and Fiber, and it's hand-dyed merino. Okay, so that's prize number 1. The spindle, which I don't have the actual spindle here, but I can show you my spindle. It's the KY spindle in the full weight, because the KY spindles have 3 weights. And this is the lightest weight, which is full. And I have it all packaged up in bubble wrap, and it's ready to go for the winner of that prize. And then we have the hand-dyed yarn. And I wanted to give everybody, the person who won this prize, a choice of which one they wanted, because everybody likes different things. And sure, you know, if you're getting something for free, you just take what you get. But I wanted to dye up the yarn anyway, so I'm going to give you a choice. You get one of these 4 fibers. First, let me put them so that they're together. These 2 here, you only get one of these, remember, so you have to choose. These 2 are merino fingering weight. This is the one that kind of matches the fiber that I dyed. The only color I changed, this has the teal in it. The yarn has the teal, and this one has the turquoise. So but other than that, they're the same colors. Because I really liked this yarn. I didn't reskein it, so it's hard to kind of see what it's going to look like when it's knit up, but it's really, really pretty. And then this one is also merino fingering weight. This one I dyed with Kool-Aid. This was really the first thing that I ever dyed with Kool-Aid, and it came out really awesome. So that's the Kool-Aid one. And then you have a choice, this other 2 that you have to choose from. These are both superwash merino and nylon. This one is a blue with a little bit of tan, a green, and this little gold here, this was the green that kind of broke apart, and it didn't come out exactly as I planned, but this came out really cool. And again, this one, like the other one, I want to try and recreate again, like this one I want to try and recreate. This is the fiber that I dyed. But this came out really, really cool because it's got the greens, it's got the gold, and the tan, and the blue. And that one was dyed with jacquards. The only one that I dyed with the Kool-Aid was the orange and red one. And this one was also dyed with jacquards. And it's got a bright green, and the turquoise, and the blue. And again, these are the same colors. This is the... Was it the same? Okay, no. This one has the turquoise, the green, and the purple. This purple, and this purple are all the same purple with different depths. I put more color in one versus the other. But this one has the turquoise and the bright green, and it's just very pretty too. And again, I didn't reskein any of these. Usually what I try and do after I dye some yarn, I'll reskein them in a different size skein so that you can kind of see the variation of the colors. I didn't do that just because I've been so busy this week, and, well, not really busy, but doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing. So the winner of that yarn will get to choose which one of those 4 that they want. The other thing that I did not do this week, but I promise I will do either today or tomorrow, is make the gift bag, or the project bag. This is what the project bag will look like. Well, not specifically. I'll show you the fiber in a second, but it's just a large bag, kind of like the sock bags, and it will have a drawstring on it. And the person who wins this project will get to choose from these 2 fabrics. They can choose the pink and the brown, or the brown and the blue, the green. So I will be making both of those bags up so that the person who wins that prize will have a choice. And now what I did to choose the winners was, first I wrote those 4 prizes, the fiber, the spindle, the yarn, and the bag, down on a page in that order. And I used the prize drawing thread on Ravelry to get my the numbers, you know. So there was, I think, 78 posts in that thread, and mine was the first one. So I did numbers between 2 and 78, and I hope nothing just happened with that camera, but it just blinked or something weird. Anyway, so I entered 2 to 78, and then you can select to choose how many random numbers to pick, and I chose 4. And it came up with these numbers. And in this order, so it's not like it didn't come up in, you know, numeric order or whatever, so it wasn't like the first person was going to win, you know, a certain project or a certain prize. So the person who won the fiber, this right here, is number 4, Crafty Deb. So Crafty Deb, please contact me. I'm gonna give everybody about a week to watch the podcast and learn that they're a winner, because I think it would be more fun to watch the podcast and you know, oh, I won, you know, to be surprised that you won, rather than me contacting you and then you end up knowing you won it before you've had a chance to watch the podcast. So, Crafty Deb, you won this prize. And if you don't contact me within about a week, by the time I do the next podcast, then I will contact you. So don't worry if you don't contact me. You will be the winner, and I will get in touch with you at some point. But I want to give you the chance to learn that you won the prize from the podcast when you watch it. The person who won the spindle, and again I'll show you the spindle, not this spindle, but one exactly like it. The person who won this was number 53, Osprey Wife. I think that's how you say it. So if you go to the Ravelry thread, you can go to post number 53 or post number 4. You can see who won these prizes. So Osprey Wife won this spindle. The person who gets to choose one of these 4 sock yarns is number 14, Snooks. So post number 14, Snooks. You can contact me and tell me which one of these 4 yarns you would like to take home with you. And the person who won the project bag, number 77, Citron Lady. So Citron Lady, contact me and let me know which one of these fabrics you would like to have your bag made out of. And I'm going to make both of them, so whenever you contact me, I'll have it ready to mail out. So definitely congratulations to all of you, and thank you for signing up for the Ravelry group. And I hope you enjoyed the prizes that you won. I will get them out in the mail this week, or as soon as you contact me to let me know that, give me your address and whatnot. And along with the prize drawing, I was having a name my wheel, help me name my wheel. That was all in that same thread there. And there were some fabulous names. I mean, it just, things that I would never have thought of about on my own, and I really appreciate all the help to determine what to name my wheel. And the final outcome of the naming my wheel, I decided, I kind of played around with a couple of them. There was one name that I really liked. It was Llady, and I really liked that name, but it just it didn't speak to me. It didn't. I mean, I really liked the name, but for whatever reason, I just didn't feel like that was the name of my wheel. I really wanted to name the wheel that, but it just wasn't saying, yes, this is my name. But the name that was finally chosen was Viola. So that is the name of my ladybug wheel, is Viola. So when you hear me talk about the wheel in the future, I will refer to her as Viola. So also I wanted to mention, you might have already seen it, I did do the short row heel video this week, so that is posted on the blog as well as iTunes and Blip. So if you want to take a look at that, I know a lot of people were really interested in seeing that demonstration. I hope it helps you to be able to do that short row heel. It was the first time that I did a tutorial like that, so I just hope that it was good. And if you have any comments about that, let me know if you have any tips on how I can make it better in the future, because I'm sure that there will be times that I do other videos like that as well. But other than that, that's about it for this week, and I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you'll be back again next week for episode 6. I have no idea what that episode's going to be about. Each week I just jot down notes as I go through the week, and at the end of the week I decide what I'm going to talk about. So again, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.